So what I learned from being in an abusive relationship. Well, for one thing, women, men too, I guess, make sure you have your own money. Make sure you have your own money. I mean, if you saw my last video, you could see I did not have any money when the whole time I was married to my husband, and I wasn't working. He was working. So therefore, he was in control of the money. So make sure you have your own money. I did find ways to make money. But, it wasn't a lot. But, I was just lucky. I think I was lucky. God was looking out for me. It's not always easy, though, to find a way to make money. I also learned have your own money. Make sure you have you have an account where you keep your money separately. I did not have a joint account. Let me get that clear. I did not have a joint account with him. But make sure you have an account, separate account, where you can save your money. That he does not know about, or she. Because you don't want to be dependent on this person. And I was dependent on him for a lot of things. Well, as time went on, I learned how to travel and get around, but certain times he would have to do shopping and stuff. He did it, and stuff like that. Go by your first instinct. If you feel something is wrong, then just go by that instinct. For instance, when we were looking for he was looking for a place, I said, well, I wanted a place that had a washing machine so that I could wash clothes. I had a young child, baby, and I had just had a baby or whatever, and I didn't want to be going out to the laundry. I wanted a place. Well, if the place doesn't have a wash machine, that's, in other words, he didn't care about that, to have that for me. So that was a red flag, but I didn't take it as that. But at that time, but that could have been a red flag. If he doesn't want to have comfort in your mind for you, then that is a red flag. Especially if you just had a newborn baby. So, also, the signs, there were no signs. First of all, this was my first abusive relationship. I have never been in an abusive relationship before. So, I didn't know of the signs. I guess I was naive. But thinking back, that would have been one of the signs, because he didn't care if the place had if I was able to use a wash machine. Although, let me just take that back. He did end up buying me one. We weren't supposed to have one in there, but he did end up buying me one in there later on. So he did try to look out. So I should take that one back. But I wasn't able to use it because she didn't allow us to use it, because the landlord, because it made the water bill go up. I still had to go to the laundry. So, that was not it still wasn't comfort for me. Signs, I did not have any signs until after we were married. And he had the marriage certificate on the wall, and he said, now I own you. What? Oh, no, you don't. Nobody owns me. That was another sign. But I'm already married now, and he hit me 2 months into the marriage. Arguing with me, he didn't like, and he hit me 2 months into the marriage. So those were all signs, but I didn't see them until afterwards. Those signs was just like date. Oh, that's another one. Date the person longer to get to know them. I didn't date him long enough to know him well. If I did, then I would never have married him. So I rushed into it. That was my fault. Date the person long enough to get to know them so that you won't be in that situation, period. I learned that God is real, and a lot of things that I went through were teaching me a lesson, and God was always there for me. So things worked out for me for the good of me and my children. As I was saying before, always have your own money when you go into a marriage. Make sure you have your own money going into a marriage. Don't go into a marriage with no money or just depending on that man. It's better to have because then he controls the money. If he's that type of man, he will control the money. He won't give you any money, which my husband did not give me money in my hand. He would just go buy what I needed. So that's something, if you don't like that, which I don't like nobody controlling me and doing what they want to do with the money, have your own money. Now, I'm not saying if you were to get married and you stop working, and you can do that with some men. Okay, there are some men that will take care of you, which my husband was a good provider, but they won't keep the money away from you and stuff like that, or they will share. So some men are safe to do this with. I'm not saying that you can't do it. You have to have your own discernment and wisdom about the whole situation to see if this is going to be the right decision for you to do, to go into a relationship by staying home and you being the wife and he's going out working, if this would be good for you. During this time, I learned to trust God more. I was able to ask God for things and see it come through. I learned that God does hear you. I asked for a apartment that was either on the 3rd or the 4th floor. I forgot to mention that in the last video. That was either on the 3rd or the 4th floor, and that first apartment that I didn't get was on the 3rd floor. So I thought, oh, this is for me, but it didn't turn out to be for me. But the next one I got was on the 4th floor. So I knew that one was for me because how things turned out. But I asked that for God, and I asked God for a short building, not a tall building, and I got the short building without people hanging out in front of it, without drugs going on in there, without people hanging in front of no one hangs in front of, I still live there, no one hangs in front of my building at all. I have been out, like, say I've taken the kids, they get sick, and I go out to the hospital and for an emergency room, and I come back 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, nobody's standing in front of my building. Now, that can be good, that can be bad, but that's how much, there's not a lot of traffic in my building. It's and I was told after I moved there that I was in the best building in the whole neighborhood. So I learned that God listens to you and does grant your wishes. So don't worry if that's what you're thinking. God is listening to you. You just have to be patient and stop looking for it. Just tell God what you want and keep moving towards your goal, whatever that may be. I learned that you cannot tell everybody what you're going to do, not even your closest relative, because they think it's not possible for you to leave your husband or your mate at the time, especially if you don't have a job and it looks like you're hopeless. But when you have, I'm a strong woman, and I know that. When you're a strong person, nothing can make you not continue on your journey. But if you're not strong, just by telling someone else what you're going to do can deter you from can make you doubt. Well, maybe they're right, maybe I can't, maybe, and then you're stuck again in that situation without making a move. So I've always been a strong person, and I say this to say it because I didn't tell anyone that I was moving except for my mother. And when I told my mother, I said, I'm going to, because the day I went to go look at the apartment, I didn't tell her till afterwards. I said, I'm looking for an apartment to leave. Oh, you can't leave him. You can't make it without him. I don't know why she said that. I don't think she meant any harm by it. God bless her. She's passed away now. God bless her soul. I don't think she meant anything by it. But I think she thought I couldn't make it because I didn't have a job. And she couldn't see no way how I was going to pay rent and bills. But I think she forgot who I was, or she didn't know who I was. Because I had my own place before I moved in with my husband. And I was paying my rent and bills. I had my own place. It's not like I never had. I don't know what it's like. So she didn't know who I was as a person, I don't think. And she didn't know how strong I was. And I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. And, so that's why I say don't tell anybody. Whenever you're going to do anything, don't tell anybody if it's going to deter you, because it can deter you. It can make you. Now, that didn't deter me. That didn't bother me. It kind of made me angry. Like, you really? Is that what you think? Watch me. Okay, watch. But it can put a fire in you if you're strong, but if you're not strong, it won't put a fire in you. And, I'm not mad with her. She didn't mean, I think she meant well. I think she was just worried about me. But sometimes people, when they worry or they doubt you, it can mess you up in the way, in your thoughts, in how you thinking. It can mess you up and throw you off. So I learned, don't tell anyone what you're going to do, no matter what. Just move forward, focus on what you're doing, and don't tell anyone until after everything is done. I learned that everything always turns out for the best of everyone who is involved. Everything turned out perfectly for me, and I'm grateful. It could have been worse. Things could have been worse. Things could have, escalated. But I was able to get my place. And I'm grateful. And that's another thing I learned. Always be grateful for what you have. Always be grateful for what you have. And don't be afraid to ask God for anything. Because anything and everything is possible. I also learned that once you make a decision, God just goes with the flow, goes with it. It's like you're aligned with God then. Once you make a decision, God just, it's like, okay, just tell me what you want. Okay, you want that? All right, I got it from here. And just everything just flows. It's amazing. It's hard to get like that all the time. It's hard to be in that position all the time because We think too much. Where is it? Why isn't I here? What happened? God, did you hear me? Whatever it is that we're thinking. And we don't just relax and wait and know like a child and wait and expect God to do his or her thing miraculously before your eyes. And it's just amazing how things unfold unexpectedly and just smoothly without any bumps. I mean, you may get a little bump, but that bump is actually to deter you from something. It's not for your good. You just keep going. Oh, that's another thing I learned. Well, to think about that. That's one thing you can learn from that is when you're going for something, whatever you ask for, that could be, okay, let's say you want an apartment. And I said I wanted it either on the 3rd or 4th floor. I didn't get the 3rd floor apartment. Now, that could have deterred me, and I could have been like, oh, God, why is this happening to me? What I'm going to do and this and that. I could have got deterred from that. And so what I learned is that keep pushing, because that was determined for a reason. I was being protected. I know that now. And that was determined for a reason, and don't settle for less. Keep pushing until you get what you asked for. Don't ever settle for less. Whatever you ask for, keep pushing. Now, sometimes you don't get exactly what you asked for, but it has everything in it that you asked for, except for maybe one thing. Let's say that. But keep pushing. Don't settle for less. If you're asking for a man that doesn't smoke, and you get a man that does smoke, but he has everything that you want, well, is that a deal breaker for you or what? Because it would be for me. Throw him away, basically, and go back to the drawing board until you get what you want. You understand what I'm saying? There's some things in him that you don't like, but he smokes, but there's things that you do like. Throw him away until you get back to your drawing board. Go back to your drawing board until you get what you want. Never settle for less. Always accept what it is that you asked for, because you are a queen, you are a king, and you deserve it. That brings me to this point. Be careful what you ask for. I wanted to get married. I wanted to get married. That's what I wanted so badly, to get married. But I did not ask God for a specific man, how the marriage would be. I did not explain anything. I just wanted to be married. And I got married, and I got into an abusive relationship. Not only was it physical, but it was mentally, verbally abusive as well at points. Physical, not all the time. Physical was not all the time. Maybe once a year or once every 6 months. Okay? And I'm not saying only like that's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for anyone to put their hands on you at all. But I'm just saying it wasn't a physical, because I know some people are in a relationship where they get beat every weekend or they get beat every day, stuff like that. It was some verbal abuse as well. I think that was more than the physical, but that didn't bother me as much because, like I said, I'm a strong woman. It didn't hurt my feelings, whatever words were being said. But yes, be careful what you ask for, because you will get it. You have to be very specific with God. Whatever it is that you want, be specific. Don't leave nothing out. Don't just be vague and say, oh, I want to get married. And you will get married. They're just going to send you somebody to get married to. You're not going to know who this person is. And you won't get to know the person until after you get married. That's the problem. I learned that abuse comes in different ways. Verbal, as I was saying, verbal, physical, mental. And you don't always see it at first. It can be tricky. You know, just because a man is dressed in a suit doesn't mean that he's a good man or that he has money. It doesn't mean anything. You got to get to know the person and figure them out. You have to be an investigator. You have to be a detective. And don't take what you see at face value that's what it is. Which also means don't be desperate to get into the relationship just because you want it so bad. Think about it. Think about what you're doing before you jump into it. I learned that you don't need a partner to be happy. You can be happy on your own. This world makes you think that you have to have somebody to be happy. You have to have somebody to be with. You have to have somebody to have sex with. You have to have somebody to depend on. You have to have a partner. You have to have love. You have to have marriage. Even society makes women think. I don't know if you've, and let me know below, women, if this is what you're brought up believing, that you're supposed to have a man to take care of you, which we should. We deserve to have a man to take care of, but we don't have to. We can take care of ourselves. We don't have to depend on a man to do anything for us. We first must be able to take care of ourselves and love ourselves. It all comes down to loving yourself. Once you love yourself, then that man they can't help but to love you for who you are. If you don't love and respect yourself, that man or that woman will not love or respect you. So that's how it goes. That's what you attract. I can't think of anything else. I'm trying to think of other things that I learned from this lesson, but what I have learned is that everything did work out for the best for all me and my children. And I was angry for a long time at him for putting me through that, because I had got married, for the long run. But nothing lasts forever, and sometimes relationships are not meant to last forever. They're just meant to be there for you for you to learn a lesson. And so those are the things that I learned so far. I was mad with him for a long time, but I have forgiven him now, and I have moved on. But we're talking about, 18 years now, so more than 18 years ago. 23 years ago, because but 23 years ago, I was in a relationship, but 18 years ago when I left him. So we're talking about 18 years that I left him. So I'm not dwelling on that anymore, but I just decided to bring it up because I thought maybe these videos would help somebody else. There's a lot of abusive relationships out here. That was my first one, and it will be my only one, believe me. I will never be in an abusive relationship again, because now I know, not that I know what to look for, but I have more discernment now. And another thing I learned, which was funny, because at the time I was in an abusive relationship, my mother had mentioned that her father used to hit her. Her father used to hit her mother. My grandfather used to hit my grandmother. But she never mentioned it to me until I was in my abusive relationship. And I kind of got angry at her, because if she had told me this, maybe I would have been able to see the signs. Maybe, maybe not. But I could have kept from going down the rabbit hole, which it didn't last long. It was only 4 years, but I could have kept from going into the rabbit hole of repeating maybe history. You know what I mean? So I had wished she had told me this earlier, but people from the South, they kind of keep secrets. They don't like to tell. They don't like to tell things. And sometimes it's beneficial for children to know certain things. Sometimes it's beneficial because they help them avoid certain situations, I believe. But anyway, so yeah, because I had a black eye. Because yes, when he punched me, he would punch me in my face and I would have black eyes. A black eye. I had a black eye at this particular time, and she said, "Oh, my mother used to have those too." And she was, and I'm looking, and she made it seem like it was normal, like she was used to it. She was used to it, but I wasn't. And so I should have been told these things, I think, to avoid getting into that situation. But you know, bygones is everything is over with. And I am a better person for it. I did learn a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of things from that. And I'm very happy that I did. I can't think of anything else. I'm not very happy that I went through it, but I'm very happy that I've learned lessons from it. And I learned different things from it. I can't think of anything else that I learned from it, but I will make another video, because the next video I make, I would like to like tell the whole story about how I met him, and you know, and just in more details about the relationship and how it led up to the abuse, and some of the things that went on in the relationship. But some of it I can look back and laugh about it, but at the time it wasn't funny. But I can look back and laugh now at some of the things that I went through with him. But it's so long ago that I'm gonna have to write notes down and get my bearings together, because some things I have forgotten about, you know, and sometimes I don't remember it until I'm talking about it, or maybe my son might mention something that he remembered, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I remember such and such now. I didn't remember it before, you know. And so I don't, because that's past me now. I don't dwell on the past. I don't dwell on that. It's something that happened. I learned my lesson, and I moved on. So, you know, but I will make another story time about more in detail about the relationship. But for now, those are the only things I can think of that I learned from this relationship. But I learned, and I was the closest at that time. Seemed like I was closer to God then than I am now, but I am getting closer again to God. But I was very close to God at that time, and I think that's what helped me, how everything just, you know, just worked out. Just worked out miraculously, and I just thank God for that. Thank you, God. So I hope this helps someone. This is why I'm talking about it, because I think some people don't talk about it, you know. And I'm over it now. It's been 18 years. I probably wouldn't have been able to talk about it 10 years ago or 15 years ago, but I'm able to talk about it now. It doesn't bother me. It's over with, you know. And I know who I am. I'm a strong woman, and I can get through anything. So, but I hope this helps someone. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Please like this video if it resonates with you, or you know someone that's been abused. Like this video. Comment below if you've been abused, and how you what lessons you learned about being in an abusive relationship. And let's talk about it below. Let's have a conversation. But thank you so much. And remember, you must hustle. God bless you.